The job of leaders is to inspire other people, and the way they inspire them is to communicate with them. That's the way they inspire. So communication is essential to leadership. Good communication is essential to leadership. And people often think that communication is about what you say to people and how you say it to them, but actually communication is much, much, much more than that. How you make people feel about themselves, about you, about their organization that they work for, that's essential to performance. So inspiring communication is really what we're talking about, not just communication. What's really interesting when you talk to employees about whether or not they find their leaders are inspiring is they tell you that actually not many of their leaders are very inspiring at all. Only about a quarter of them are actually inspiring, and only about 5% are very inspiring. But when you talk to leaders and ask them how inspiring they think they are, a lot more of them think they're inspiring, and therefore there's this huge gap between what employees think and what the leaders themselves think. And in that inspiration gap lies a very significant problem. Because without being inspired, employees don't give of their best, and therefore your ability to achieve your goals as a leader is handicapped, and you may not even know it. So paying more attention to being inspiring, paying a lot more attention to your own inspiration quotient becomes essential to achieving fantastic results. To be a more inspiring leader, you have to understand that it's as much about how well you listen as it is about how well you speak. And it's really all about how you make other people feel. How they feel will determine how well they perform, and how well they perform will determine how whether or not you achieve your objectives. So it's all about how you make other people feel, and that's all about all the ways that you communicate with them, from talking to listening, from the signals you send to the things you choose to talk about, through the way that you involve them and engage them in what you're doing, through to how compelling the nature of your vision is that gets people on board, so it makes them feel that they're doing something meaningful and important, right through to how you drive innovation and get people excited about the things that they're doing, and also even to eventually how you stand up and give speeches, although interestingly I rate that as one of the less important aspects of being an inspiring communicator. We're living in a very strange world at the moment where what you call intangible assets have a far greater value than tangible assets. So things like bricks and mortar have a value to a company and are really important, but increasingly they are less important than the intangible assets such as relationships and brand and reputation and culture and even leadership itself. So these intangibles are what enable success, and what leaders have to do today is understand that really what they're dealing with and what they need to pay much more attention to is managing the intangibles. And one of the greatest intangibles of all, in my mind, is the quality of leadership and communication in any organization, because it's what is probably one of the most fundamental drivers of success. Now, the great irony is that not many leaders are given very much instruction or development around how to be a more inspirational communicator. They get lots of instruction on how to be a better speech maker or presenter or give media interviews, but how to be an inspirational speaker, not really. So I wrote this book after more than 40 years of working, because it just nagged and nagged at me that this thing called inspirational communication wasn't getting enough attention, and yet it was such a fundamental part of leadership. There are many people now who will tell you that communication is one of the top 3 skills of leadership in order to help achieve growth, productivity, reduce safety, accidents, to improve sickness levels, to improve engagement, all of which result in improved performance. And so how you think about how you communicate becomes essential to success. And there just isn't enough out there. So I determined to, first of all, go and interview 70 established leaders about what they saw inspirational communication as, and wrote a book called The Language of Leaders. And because that did quite well, I then had a lot of people saying to me, yes, well, but how do you do it? Give us a step-by-step guide. And so I then sat down and wrote Communicate to Inspire, a guide for leaders, as a much more instructional book, a book that could take you through the process step by step to enable you to achieve each of what I call the 12 principles of inspirational leadership, and do it yourself.